Okay, so we have the reptilian queens and the Canis kings now pledged allegiance. This is part 2, Terra Papers 1. The Canis king, his name is AnAn, is the first king. He makes his brother Al royal cupbearer. Al overthrows and kills his brother AnAn. He becomes king. He's got a son called grandson called Zeus, and AnAn had a grandson called Anu. Anu tries to overthrow Al, kicks him out. Al goes into the new star system, or new solar system. It's called Eridu at this time. So he goes to this planet called Tiamat. He takes his grandson Zeus with him. Grandson Zeus is a very good warrior, and Anu now has control over the royal house. It's called Aster Palace, and that's in the Sirius star, Orion star systems. So we've got Al in exile with Zeus, and Anu's sons. He's got a son named Ea, or Anki, and also Enlil, and he makes sure that he sends them off to Tiamat to keep an eye on things as well. And he makes Zeus his royal cupbearer because he needs to keep Zeus beside him because he doesn't trust him, as usual. They overthrow each other all the time. Now what happens is that Enlil and Ea are fighting in Tiamat for power, and they can't get along as usual. And over there, so Anu takes a trip over there, and he takes Zeus with him. And in the meantime, while Anu's trying to resolve this power, because Enlil always wants to be in command, and then Ea also, he's a geneticist scientist. He wants to be in command because Ea does all the work. And Enlil is the Lord of Command or War, so he's more of a bully. But he gets to be in power because of bloodline. His mother is a half-sister of Anu. It must be bloodline of snake queens. And Ea will never get the throne because he must be pure Canis or Sirius, and that's just what I got from Terra Papers 1. A lot of it Robert Morningsky goes to in his videos that are a bit different, and obviously he knows his stuff because it's his grandfather's work. So I'm going to do my best to interpret this, and you can feel free to look at all the papers. Okay, so Anu went down to the Tiamat Palace to resolve this issue with Ea and Enlil. In the meantime, Zeus says he's going to have a party with his warriors. The warriors are giving him a party. He sends extra warriors to keep an eye on Zeus. Now, they travel by planets, hollowed out planets. They call them flagships. So this is called an AR flagship. Anu manages to resolve this issue, gets back onto a little ship, and goes up to this AR flagship, which has been taken over by Zeus and these Ikiki warriors. That's what they call themselves, the Ikiki warriors. So he gets notified about this, and he manages to escape to the palace. Now Zeus becomes king of Tiamat. Everybody cheers him on. He's got this flagship, AR, also, and he's also the king of Tiamat. So he's tooting his own horn over here. Anu, he's back at the palace. He's really ticked off that Zeus has overthrown him and totally humiliated him. He gets set up with another AR starship. This is going to be called AR2. And starts to head out to the Tiamat system to overthrow Zeus. And Zeus meets him even before he gets into this Eridu star system, and they meet head on, AR1 and AR2. They're fighting like bulls, and there's a whole armada of ships around them too, as well. So what happens is that Zeus's ship is hit, and he bounces off Uranus, where Ea is doing genetic experiments, and they manage to fight it off as well. And what happens is Zeus comes back and then strikes again at Anu's ship. Anu's ship manages to smash right into Tiamat, and a part of it breaks off, and it's headed towards the sun. The rest of it shatters, kills all the people on Tiamat. Those are Zeus's people. And a part of it moves into the orbit, stops before it hits the sun, and starts orbiting around the sun. That's called Earth. It'll be called Eridu now, Earth. Okay, so Zeus ticked off. He goes to Mars. It's called Dakmu, but he goes to Mars where he tries to figure out what to do next. And what happens is that he takes this part of Tiamat, which is still, he thinks he's still in power, And he rebuilds it. He calls it Valhalla. It's a monument for the people that died in this war of Anu against Zeus. So Anu goes back to the palace, and he's has to do an accounting for the snake queens, and he's thinking that he's got to get rid of Zeus. But since Zeus is doing a great time, he's doing a good job mining all the gold and all the heavy metals for the queens back in Orion, which is supposed to be. The queens let him stay, so he's totally furious. And then after a while, he plots to the queens. He's saying that there is also a rebel star system that might side with Zeus this time, and he uses this excuse to try to overthrow Zeus. And what they do, the snake queens agree that Zeus is a problem. They gather their starships, the SSST, they call theirs, the Orion starships, and the Asar, which is the Sirius starships, and they go in and they take Zeus down totally. So they take Zeus, they capture him, they subdue everybody else. Anu makes sure that Venus and Mars, which used to be outposts for Zeus, are totally empty because he doesn't want anybody messing around with his work, and he doesn't want any more wars. So that's seized. Zeus gets sent back to Sirius, and Anu now has the throne, and he sends Ea and Enki down for genetic experiments down in the New World, which used to be a part of Tiamat. It's called Eridu. And this battle is known as the Olden Gods of Olympus, which is Zeus and the Olympus, and the Osiris-Sirius gods. So you can look at some of the books. The mythology's been changed, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But back in Eridu, this is page 29 of the Terra Papers 1. Enlil is made Lord of Command, and Ea is set to rebuild paradise, and he uses the Anunnaki, which are the givers of life, to do this. The other ones, the DK warriors, were the destroyers of life, and Zeus used those. He set up energy chambers for pyramids to power this operation. Because this planet was unstable, they had a lot of power failures, and the Anunnaki had to work overtime. And Enlil really didn't care, and so did Anu, just as long as there was production being made, that if the Anunnaki overworked themselves, it really wasn't a problem. So Ea is doing this hybridization. He's building plants and everything in his the life centers. They were called the Garden of Life, the Garden of Eden. And gold mining begins. Ea's doing all the work. Enlil is bossing everybody around, working everybody to death. And so the strike breaks out with the Anunnaki. They're very unhappy with what's going on, and they attack Enlil. Enlil wants to go back to the palace of Asar because he's too far away from home. Ea wants to be the king of the world. He's our creator god anyway, and so Ea finds a way to try to get rid of Enlil and alleviate the work of the Anunnaki. So what he does is, as with his sister Ninhursag, he creates a hybrid from the beast, because he did a lot of hybridization. He hybridized the horse and the bull with the Sirius star line, which is the Asar star line, which is the mammalian dog star anyway. And then he created very strong workers to help the Anunnaki do the work and the mining and build the cities on Eridu, which is Earth. So he made this Adapus hybrid, which is half beast and then half Asar, which is the dog star. And that's our primitive man, which became our first version of Adam, but it's not. It's called Adapus. And Enlil was very, he didn't trust this animal too much, but it did obey and it did do the tasks, and it did serve the Anunnaki well. But he really didn't care if it was a slave or not. And so he, to see him get rid of it was not a problem. So what he did actually alleviated a lot of the work for Enlil. Enlil got to stay, and this really ticked Ea off because he was supposed to get rid of Enlil by introducing this Adapus beast to help the Anunnaki and make him look good. But in the meantime, Anu saw that this enabled Enlil to stay far away from the palace so that he can reign, and Enlil was still Lord of Command on Eridu, and he is doing all the work. Okay, I'll be back for part 3. See ya.